welcome to How To in 5, and today we're looking at the Shoei Neotec 2 modular helmet. Now for those that are regulars to my channel, you will know that I will not review something, and I review a lot of things nowadays. I will not review something unless I've had it, touched it, felt it, owned it, and used whatever the product is over a period of time. I've done just that with the Shoei Neotec, and today we're going to look at the pros and cons, and I can tell you there's not a lot of cons that go with this helmet. It is a ripper, so hang in there. All of these other helmets, you're probably thinking Steve's got a problem here, and I'm sure there's medication for it, but these are helmets that I have bought over the years, and it goes back a lot of years, different shapes, sizes, so I've got half an idea of what I'm talking about with helmets. But look, let's look at the Shoei, and we'll get rid of all of these others and focus just on this. Okay, so that's got rid of that lot. I've always wanted to do that. That's a misspent youth, watching too much I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, etc. The Shoei Neotec, there it is there. Now, it's termed a modular helmet, and the reason, we used to call them flip tops, but they seem to call them modulars now. The reason for that, press this little button here, and the entire top goes up, first stage, and then locks in a second stage. And why that's interesting is that in some parts of the world, Australia being one of them, I believe, that on a lot of helmets you cannot run them in the up position. Shoei, however, is cleared or homologated, or whatever your term is. Once you hit the second click, you can run it in the up position. So that's what we call the modular side of things, which is really handy if you're hot weather, pulling up at lights, talking to someone at the service station, could be a smoker, whatever. It's handy to be able to put the top up, or just to get that extra bit of air or ventilation going through. Looking at it from the side, you can see, actually if I click that in, you can see, unlike most modular helmets, it's really streamlined. They've got the look of it, really, really good. I've had this helmet now for a little while. I've had it in the rain, I've had it in the heat, and it really is a good helmet. It doesn't come cheap, but I guess you've only got one scone. In saying that, it depends a lot on what you do. If you're in and around the city and whatnot, noise may not be a big issue to you. This is probably the quietest helmet that in fact, it would be the quietest helmet I think that I've ever owned. I'm just going to step off camera for 2 secs. I've had Shoei for a long time. I'm not a Shoei fanboy as such. I've got Arrow helmets, I've got Fox helmets, O'Neill helmets. As you saw, there's a lot of different brands of helmets that I've got there. This Shoei, I've got 2 of these. I bought these, I'm old, 30 years ago. It makes me sound really old, doesn't it? And that is still a great helmet. It stood the test of time. You can still buy a visor for it 30 years later. But the insides now have all gone, as they do, the insulation and the padding has started to get soft. But once again, a good helmet. Shoei have got their factories in Japan. If you've been lucky enough to go there, they've got a wonderful factory. Shoei hand makes all of their helmets, so there's a lot of time and care that go into these helmets. Ventilation wise, you have this sliding vent on top. Now I've tried that. I did read a report somewhere where the guy said, oh, it might be a little bit hard to get to. You've got to be, or use rather, you've got to be aware or be careful of armchair, or we call them armchair pilots. As people know, I fly. My life basically surrounds motorbikes, aeroplanes, cars and boats. If it's got a motor, I love it, whether it be electric or fuel. And one of the reports said that this could be hard to operate in the wet, or when you've got gloves on. I've tried it with thick gloves, thin gloves, and no, it is dead simple. Slide that, it's 2 position. I did have a bit of trouble just getting it on 1 position, because it's hard to sort of sense when you've got thick gloves on where the first position is. But closed, open, the air comes in through the front here, and there are 3, 8 or 10 mil channels that run around the helmet to get the ventilation circulating over the top of your head, so that's really good. The exhaust is on the back here. Now it's not a closed exhaust that you have to open, it's permanently open, and I've sort of tried it in all sorts of conditions. You don't get any moisture or anything in there, so that's good. Come around to this side, and you've got the vent for the front here, and if I just flick that up, you can see the vent here to come up through the visor and get you in and around the brow. That works well. The little flip lever here, it has been a complaint of mine on some helmets that's hard to get to when you've got your gloves on. It's not on this at all. You can get to that simple. It sticks out a fair way. In fact, if I turn it on side like that, you can see it sticks out a fair way. On one of my other helmets, it has a little, in fact, it's a good helmet. It's an Arrow XD4, which I'm also going to do a review on. It has a little black section here, and I do find when it's in the up position that it can be just a little bit, you go like this and you think you've seen something out of your peripheral vision. This doesn't seem to give you that problem at all. So the ventilation, the Shoei comes with, there's the little studs for the pin lock system, which is the internal visor. And if you're not familiar with the pin lock system, basically it's an internal visor that mounts inside. It mounts on those little pins. Oh, it's a bit hard to see, isn't it? Those little pins there, and it's for anti-fogging, and it stops the fog or the mist building up on the inside of the helmet, and they work really well. You don't have to buy that as an accessory. It comes with the helmet in the box, which is good, and I'm pretty sure that is worldwide. You've got these little spoiler sections here on the front, and the way it's shaped, and then with this section here, is that at speeds, and this helmet, even at 250 kilometers an hour, not that I've been up there of course, but you don't tend to get that eddying of air around. And I think what happens, these little spoiler sections break the air, break it up so you don't get that sucking and you don't get the head wobbles at high speed. So that is a good thing. As far as flicking it up and down, really simple. The locking mechanism, unlike the D-rings, and this is the first time I've had a helmet, oh no, second time, sorry, my Trials helmet has it, but this is a ratchet, pop it in, lift that, and out it comes. That's really simple to use, and I'm sure everyone that's having a look at this has probably at some stage put their helmet on, put their gloves on, and then realised they've not done up, and you've got to take the gloves off to get the D-rings on. Something that you don't have to do with this. The helmet also, no, I was going to say comes with, it is equipped to fit the SRL, that's the Sena intercom system. So SRL, Sena is the brand of it, and it's integrated into the helmet. So the battery position is here at the rear, and the mechanism is all in here, and there's the microphone, it comes out through there. The plus of that, of course, and I run a Sena on my XD4 on my Arrow, and that's the one, and they're a terrific unit. I mean, intercom wise, they are as clear as you can possibly get. You can hook up with multiple riders, but it does hang out the side of the helmet, and when you put your helmet down, it does tend to catch on things. By integrating it into the side of the helmet here, it's made it so as it's clean. It's dead clean, and I guess the only problem though, actually there's a con, something I hadn't thought of, is that with this one, I do take it off and I can leave the helmet with the bike in the workshop, take that in and put it on the charger. With the SRL system, you do have to take your whole helmet in. It plugs into that little hole just there, just a USB. And look, it lasts for so long. But that is one thing that you do have to remember. You can't just take it. If you've got one of these systems already and you're moving from another brand of helmet, or it could be another Shoei, who knows, but you will have to come back further here and maybe use a Velcro or double-sided tape. I don't know if the clamp system would fit under there or not, so it would be a fair way back, but well, that stays with my XD4 anyway. I love this system. It is just so simple to use. Inside the helmet, and I'll just undo the strap across here, which is that ratchet. You can see what they've done is they've fitted a skirt all the way around. Now, depending on, as I said, in the city, not such a big deal, and a lot of people wear earplugs, and I know on my long distance runs, and I do, people that have watched my stuff know that I've got adventure bikes and that sort of thing, and I do a lot of freeway work as well. Wind noise can be a real pain. You've got to put in some plugs if you're on the road for a fair period of time. This skirt section and the way it goes around, it tends to close in around your neck, and you don't get that shoulder buffeting, the noise that comes in. If ever you've been riding along and you've got a bit of pace on, maybe you're doing, I don't know, 140 kilometers an hour, or what's that, 60, 90 mile an hour, 60 to 90 mile an hour, you get a lot of that buffeting and wind noise off your shoulders. And if you turn your shoulder a bit, the noise will decrease dramatically. You don't seem to have that problem with this, the way they have shaped the inners, so that's good. Looking inside, all of the internals, they all come out, they're all just clipped in and velcroed for washing and cleaning. That's your microphone there. The chin section, when it closes, that comes right over, and you can be riding along, let's say you're sitting on 60 mile an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, someone rings you on the mobile phone, it's just a matter of, where am I? Down this side. Push the button, just give it one push, it answers the call, volume up. You can be having a conversation for 5 minutes and people won't even realize that you are riding along around. This one's Shoei, and as I say, I've had many Shoei helmets. Quietest is another good helmet. Shoei's made in Japan, as I mentioned. Arai, also another really good helmet, made in Japan. Quietest is German, I think. Yes, made in Germany. Bell, well, not so much Bell nowadays. Bell do a lot of your trendy sort of helmets and things, but they used to be all made in the USA, but I've got a feeling Bell are assembled in the USA, but all from Chinese parts now. I stand to be corrected on that. But look, if you're looking for a good, quiet, simple to operate, modular helmet that has not got a lot of wind noise, it has got a terrific communication system, and remember, you're protecting your head. And I throw that in. You can break an arm, break a leg, whatever, and you mend up. Your head, you only really get one chance. Once you've thumped your head, you've thumped your head. A decent helmet costs decent money. That's my theory. And I look, out of some of my helmets that you saw that were all piled up around here before I did my Dreamagenie thing, I've bought some cheapy helmets in the past, and they're just that. They're cheapy helmets. Some are super lightweight, but there's a reason for that. This is not the lightest helmet in the world, I might add. And looking at the side, it comes in at with the communication system and the pin lock visor inside. It comes in at 1,850 grams. So it's not the lightest thing in the world, but you don't seem to notice it. I haven't worn this on the adventure bike, although I think my Arai is probably, I'm going to grab that and check. Back in one sec. So looking at the Arai, which is my adventure helmet that I use on the Tenere, 1,750 grams. So it's not that much lighter, it's only 100 grams. I just did a quick calculation, well I didn't, good old Google did. And looking at that, 1,850, which is the Shoei Neotec, is, if you're Imperial, a fraction over £4. So that's not too bad. The comm system that I was looking at, which is the center that goes on here, this one sits on the side of my XD4, clips in like so, and look, it's a great system, it's easy to use, volume, wind it up, wind it down, answer, and I certainly don't have a problem with that unit on this helmet for adventure riding. I guess it is a bit this comm system susceptible to maybe giving it a knock, a bang, or if you're walking past something, catching it on something, whereas you can see, looking at the Neotec, it sits in nice and flush along the side of it. All you really have, and I'll bring that up a bit closer, all you really have is that button on the side here that you push to answer. Volume up in front of it, volume down behind it. It is such a neat, tidy system. So there you go, the pros and cons of the Shoei Neotec. Would I spend my money again to buy one if this were to get damaged, lost, stolen? I would not even hesitate. I would buy this helmet again in a heartbeat. It is a terrific helmet. The mechanism works well. The visor, drop down sun visor, works well. It's larger than others that I've used, so you don't need to wear the sunglasses. You can, I might add, still wear your sunglasses. So if I pop that hat off and I pull this one on, the helmet is on. You can see the clip system there is just so simple. You can do that with gloves, and your glasses fit in quite well if you're after extra dark or you're not into the drop down visors. And then your drop down visor still comes down with plenty of clearance. I can comfortably put my hands, sorry to muffle my voice out then, or maybe you like the fact that I muffled it out. You can comfortably put your hand in between. That's getting pretty dark now, I might add. Up goes that one, and off they come. Or of course you may have glasses that you need, optical glasses that you need for riding. So there's plenty of room inside. Releasing that is pull and it's off. That is a really good system to pull on and off with gloves or without. It's all stainless steel, so you're not going to get rusting or cracking problems happening there if it's, well, as it ages, I suppose. The pros, we've mentioned all of those. The cons, if we're going to really get picky, are you've got to take it inside or to get to your charging port. And the other one, which is really minor, and this is how minor and picky I had to get to come up with cons of this helmet, is the drop down sun visor. You push it up to drop down and you push it down to go up. That's how picky I had to get to find something that I didn't like about this helmet. And usually I'll always find a series of things that I maybe don't like, but in this case that's about all there was. So there you go, the Shoei Neotec 2. As I said, I've got a heap more reviews coming up. I've got the XD4, the Arrow XD4 that I have done many kilometers and miles with now. So I'll be reviewing that terrific adventure helmet, but there are some things that I don't really like about it. I've also got a review coming up on the quad lock system. Now the quad lock, if you have your phone on your bike, you use it for navigation, etc. I used to run the Ram, well I still run on one of my bikes, the Ram X mount, which is a good mount, don't get me wrong, it's a terrific mount. But on one of my bikes is a Spider F3S, which I'll also be doing a review on not too far down the track. And anyone with a Spider or a Riker will know that when you hit certain bumps and whatnot on the road and corrugations, you can really get the handlebar shake up. And the X mount used to allow my phone to slip. The quad lock system does not. And there's a whole lot of the quad lock system that mounts onto the handlebars and different options you can get. So I'll be running through that not too far down the track. That's on an iPhone, but you can get the covers to suit anything. It's fairly well priced gear and it really works well. But in any case, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to see the upcoming reviews and give us the thumbs up. And until next time, I'll get rid of that and go to that. That's the email address if you want to email me through. Cheers.